Well, first of all, welcome to everybody that is listening. My name is Lev, and I'm joined here with my two good friends who will soon introduce themselves. Today we're going to be covering mainly Final Fantasy XVI, as I've just completed it myself, and I just did the Echoes of the Fallen DLC, and then and then after that we'll also be covering other stuff too. Our love for gaming, mainly classic, and even maybe in the last decade also. So that's my introduction. John.
Yeah, hi. My name's John. I'm good friends with Johnny and Lefkio. Welcome to, is it called CVG?
Yeah, CVG.
Yeah, CVG. This is our sort of maiden voyage, virgin voyage in podcasting. I recently played Final Fantasy XVI as well, which was kindly recommended. Well, it was pretty busting my balls as usual, Lefkio.
Yeah.
But to be fair to him, he's given us some great recommendations on games, and I recently finished it as well and had a great time with it. So we'll be covering FF16, and later on we'll be talking about our journey into gaming, as we're all in our 40s now.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it. So, and I'll let Johnny introduce himself now as well.
Yeah.
The main man.
Thank you. I'm John. Also known as Amorochi on the webs. I haven't played Final Fantasy 16. I haven't played any other Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy 10. Even though I enjoyed them so much, and I just didn't have time to get into those games after them. Just a little bit of everything else.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really looking forward to hear what you two, how you enjoyed it. I told Lefko as well a couple of days ago, if it's anything like Advent Children, like the graphics and the FMVs and videos and stuff like that, then
I've not played Advent Children.
It was the animated
movie.
Oh, right, okay, sorry, okay.
Awesome. So go for it.
And like I did say to John, obviously it looks a lot better than Advent Children because it's more advanced.
Which John are you referring to? Oh, Johnny?
Johnny. Yeah. So there's no confusion, everybody. We've got two Johns here. So I'm going to be addressing our main man John as Amorochi, I think. And
Johnny?
then, yeah. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Amorochi. Yeah. And then our other John, who also plays Final Fantasy XVI, he'll be simply John, just to save the confusion. Amorochi was saying the difference, obviously, with Advent Children was based on Final Fantasy VII, and it was a movie, of course. Graphically, obviously, Final Fantasy XVI is more advanced.
Yeah, it's been like 20
There's some, and I think overall, as a lover of Final Fantasy VII, that's my crown jewel. That's my main one.
Really?
Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VII, the classic. I haven't done the remake, of course, but I would say there's definitely more visually stunning moments in Final Fantasy XVI. Do you know what I mean? Maybe because it's the game,
Can I add to that? Because I haven't played Final Fantasy VII. I've only played, I think in the whole series, I've played 9 and 10 or 10 or 11. I remember the protagonist.
11 is the online one.
So it must be 9 and 10 then,
10,
because one of the protagonists was Zidane.
Zidane, that was from
and the other
9.
one was Tidus, I think.
Yeah, 9 and 10.
Yeah. So, and what was Waka in 10 as well? I remember one of his 10. Was that
Waka
10?
was 10.
With the ball, he had like a ball.
That's
as
right.
his, as his
Sorry,
weapon.
touching up on that, who else was a really good character? Number 9 was is it Vivi?
It looked too kiddish for me for some reason. The little characters, whereas I just come off Final Fantasy VIII and
I understand.
What was no Squall.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like the animations were amazing.
I think at that particular time, so if I was to play Final Fantasy VII now, the remake, I've heard it's better. From what I've read and certain people who play games, they've told me that combat graphics story is better than Final Fantasy XVI. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, left don't know
When
more
did
about
16
that.
come out though?
Recently.
Pretty recent,
Yeah, pretty recently.
Recent.
It wasn't. I mean, again, would like to do the Final Fantasy VII remake. It's just that what held me back from doing it is because I know it was only sections, so they're doing like a 3-part.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. So I always said to myself, even like 5-6 years ago when it was released, the remake, I thought I'd probably rather wait and do the whole thing together.
Yeah.
But obviously it's not like that. As they've said, it's best to do, Final Fantasy VII remake, then do the, Crisis Core, again, is like a prequel to Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Rebirth coming out soon, which will be like the next part. And then there's the third part as well. And I'm not sure when that will be coming
So wait,
out.
you're gonna do one of the later ones now, and then you're gonna go back and do Crisis Core?
No,
like, you want to follow the story?
I'd follow it, yeah. I think I'd follow it.
I always do release, man. I always do release, like with Star Wars as well and everything. Sorry, going off, always it's got to be the way it was released in theatres and on DVDs. I can't.
You won't get chronologically like
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I get it. So, I mean, now you just mentioned Star Wars.
Yeah.
If you ever did the marathon of that, I forgot what it's called, but there's a way of watching it.
Oh,
Omnibus?
Where, no.
You do 4, 5,
Yeah,
1,
you
2,
do.
3, 6.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
Right.
So you do, you basically kind of, you do
Was it 1,
A
2?
New Hope,
Okay.
then you do A New Hope, I believe. Then after A New Hope, you do Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
You skip Phantom Menace, and then you skip Phantom Menace
For
because
whatever reason,
for whatever reason it wasn't the best. The best part of Phantom Menace was maybe the pod race and the end of it. With Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, and I'm thinking, and then you watch Revenge of the Sith as a prequel, and then you finish with Return of the Jedi.
And what, you completely scrapped 7, 8, 9?
I apologise, I forgot about Attack of the Clones. So you fit that in there somewhere as well.
Okay.
So I think you do like episode 4, then episode 5, then 2, 3, and episode 6.
Okay.
Finally, it's finished. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I think we should get cracking now with the game.
Yes.
And since you're the Final Fantasy enthusiast here, and I think you should start and tell us how you felt and
absolutely.
what you thought about the game compared to previous titles.
Yeah.
The combat, the mechanics, the graphics, the character.
You'd like me to?
Yeah, 100%. You're the one who recommended the game, so
Okay.
I wasn't going to play it if it wasn't for you.
I'm so glad you did.
Did you finish it?
Sorry?
Did you finish it?
Yeah. I rinsed it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'll say is when I play a game, they know they can play for an hour or two and then they have to do something else. I do 6-hour sessions.
Yeah.
5-6 hour sessions.
I heard the Red Dead Redemption stories.
Let's not get into that right
Okay.
now.
If we start talking about Red Dead Redemption 2,
No spoilers, because I've started.
There's no
I sat
spoilers.
down for the 6th time now. I'm trying to play it.
Red Dead 2 is the pinnacle of gaming. There is
Yeah.
nothing like I've set the
Alright.
bar so high from
Yeah.
Red Dead that I'm yet to see something. Red Dead and as games as a whole. I'm not talking about graphically or the environment or the soundtrack or the
Everything.
character development. Everything as a whole. Red Dead 2 and The Last of Us Part 2. Those games, I've yet to see anything close to that.
Okay.
He doesn't agree.
Okay.
But as a whole,
I agree with Red Dead Redemption
great storytelling
2.
and
I just don't agree with The Last of Us 2.
And
Sorry,
okay.
for the story.
And Red Dead 2 still puts a lot of games to shame, even today on, shall we say, next-gen game. For me, Red Dead 2 is and was next-gen gaming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if PS5, that is just superb.
I agree.
It's just,
I think for you, Red Dead 2 also kind of became a curse in a sense of, that, like you said, that sets the bar.
Yeah, it
every
does,
game
because
you
I'm
play
so
now.
fussy now, and I'm so, unless it's something I really want to play a title that I know, like, I don't know, for example, God of War. I know I'm going to love that, or the Soulsborne games. I know I'm going to love that. But something like Final Fantasy, I won't pay X amount of money for it, because for me it's a risk. And I want to play something that I'm really good and that I know that I will enjoy, unless, as I said, Lefkio
highly recommends it.
recommends it and says, John, trust me, you'll enjoy it. It'll take time to simmer. I won't play it straight away. It'll bust my balls for a month or 2 or 3. He was busting my balls for 2 years before I played Red Dead.
Wait, the game just sits there like that for you to...
No, I'll think about it. I'll play something else, and then eventually I will get to it.
Okay. We ended up actually having an argument once.
Yeah, we've argued. Friendly argument,
yeah. Basically, before we continue, you know...
I won't even say an argument, it was a heated discussion.
It was it was more of a tongue lashing on my side from John.
But both games, Red Dead 2 and The Last of Us Part 2, we both played that. We agreed on everything on Red Dead 2, but completely disagreed on
Last of Us 2. Yeah, so we'll definitely, I think we'll have to cover
we'll do that on another time.
On a later day, definitely.
Right. Get started.
No worries. I just do want to finish that though, half what it was, so that John gets an idea of how I convinced John to play the games with Red Dead Redemption 2. I was saying it for over a year to Chris and to John, and I says, look, you've got to play this game. It will blow your mind. I promise you, you'll give it like a 10 out of 10. And it kept annoying John because I kept saying it, and I think one day when you lost your
I was here at the shop, I remember
you was here, but what it
I must have been having a bad day, and then I had
been
John, when are you going to play there? Sorry, I'm doing left piano. You don't know what you're missing out, and I just blew. I was like,
and you just blew your top. But what it was on my side is because I just completed it for the second time. It was during the lockdown, the COVID lockdown. And I had 5 weeks off, and that's what I chose to do, was to redo Red Dead Redemption 2. Anyway, so a couple of weeks after I did it, I saw a video on YouTube about the main character's best moments and things like that. And it just gets you emotional when you watch it, honest to God. And that's when I said to John, guys, I just watched this video again, it blew my mind, and
It's a personal experience. I think gaming is a personal experience for anyone. There's some games that you'll absolutely adore that I won't sort of have that attachment to, even though I might have played it. But from my perspective, Red Dead 2 clearly left its mark on me for days. I mean, on everything. I just remember a lot of things. It's really, really, it touches on a lot of things. So we won't get into that now.
I'll tell you what, we'll do a Red Dead one.
When we do it, we need Chris
online
as well. Because we could discuss that for hours. But to leave it at that, I think it's easy to say, before we carry on, that for me, it is my greatest game of all time.
Definitely, 100%. Definitely.
Right, I'll stop playing World of Warcraft.
Deviated from FF16.
Yeah, let's start with the FF16. So, obviously, whoever's listening, spoiler alert. I'm sure you don't mind the spoilers.
No, because I just love
because you love the discussions. So, again, with Final Fantasy XVI, I think Square Enix definitely took a gamble with this game, because what they tried to do is accommodate the fan base, the classic Final Fantasy XVI gamers, but they also tried appealing to a new audience as well. So it's like an example I said to John, who, he hadn't played Final Fantasy VI number 10. And I says to him, it doesn't matter, you've never had to play a Final Fantasy game before to play this. Even if you met someone who has not got a clue about Final Fantasy, which, let's be honest, would be a real gamer unless he was living under a rock for the last 30 years. That's the what I said to John. Why I think you just need to jump into it. It starts in the world of Valisthea. Our main protagonist is called Clive Rossfield, and it begins epically with a battle of two icons, they're called, which is like, your mythological summons in the other games, they're usually called, which is Ifrit and Phoenix.
They're in all of them,
No, they're in all of them,
definitely.
Ifrit and Phoenix is in most of the Final Fantasy games, but this is how it begins. So straight away you're thrown into this epic battle with phenomenal music, phenomenal visuals, You know,
I think the fact that it was sort of more, shall I say, adult orientated as well, because
definitely.
you know, and it was inspired. I think there's an inspiration for anyone who's seen Game of Thrones.
Definitely.
We won't talk about that. I mean,
yeah,
right now, but it definitely was inspired by sort of a Game of Thrones setting,
definitely.
high fantasy, medieval fantasy setting.
Yeah. All right.
And you can tell that it borrows ideas. When I say borrows ideas, the plots of a plot in Game of Thrones, like certain scenes, it'll be like, oh, that happened in Game of Thrones, so they must have borrowed
the
that.
series or the book, because I heard that it's a little bit different.
I'm talking about the series, because I haven't read the books yet.
Yeah,
but it's very reminiscent of that sort of thing. So the plots and twists and turns, you know, and the shocks.
Definitely. You know, again.
Is it an 18? The game, is it an 18?
I think it's a 16.
I'm not too sure, actually. Good question.
It's definitely more
it's
for
definitely not
late,
for,
late teenage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a big jump then. Well, I haven't played the recent one, the later ones before that, but the other ones were very
strangely enough, you know, like what you said about Final Fantasy IX as well, even though it did look like it was, you know, for kids, like you said, it actually was a very mature story.
It was,
Final Fantasy IX,
Right, no, it's just the graphic, you know.
I understand. I mean, for the time though, it was probably the best graphically graphic game, for PS2 when it came out. So Telelight was PS1.
PS1,
and it did look. It definitely got the most out of the PS1. You know, Final Fantasy IX visually. Cutscenes and everything. But
so it's rated M for mature.
Yeah. So it is.
Blood, gore, partial nudity, sexual themes, strong language and violence.
Blood, gore, but I won't say it's like.
I mean, there was some swearing in there as well.
Swearing, but I won't say it was gory to the point where, I don't know, a 10-year-old can't sit there and watch it when you play. Personally, it's not Mortal Kombat gore.
You know,
there's,
I mean,
blood from the Super Nintendo.
I mean, there's a few scenes that, you know, could say they're mature, but ultimately it's not heavy on swearing and gore.
I think,
but it's definitely more for a mature audience.
Definitely, I mean, I'd say one of the traumatizing things we'll just go straight into it, because I'm sure people that are listening have probably played Final Fantasy XVI. I think one of the most kind of traumatizing parts was with Joshua when he's young. And then they kill his father right in front of him. You know what I mean?
Which again is like a Game of Thrones inspired with
Ned Stark, probably. But again, that was a brilliant scene. How Joshua, you know, he witnesses the brutal murder of his father right in front of him, and then he, you know, turns into his icon, into the Phoenix.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. I must say the cutscenes are respectable in Final Fantasy. They're absolutely phenomenal, and the boss battles, and just it draws you. You want to play the game. You know, the story. It's not
everything. The characters.
The character.
All the characters in it.
I'd say some characters more than others, because you've always got your favourite ones.
Of course.
Is there like a Sid? Is there a Sid?
Sid's brilliant.
He's brilliant. He's actually one of the best characters in it.
Okay.
What's the actor's name? You've watched The Office, haven't you?
You
watched The Office?
No, I haven't watched it. Probably.
He's a northern fella. He's got a sort of broad, heavy northern accent. The guy who plays Sid.
We'll find that.
Very distinctive voice as well. Absolutely brilliant.
And again, I did say to you, John, I like the accents in there as well.
Definitely. They're more plausible.
They're more plausible. So
it's that
he's like
there's a charm about it as well, you know?
That's right, And again, Sid.
What you see is what you get, basically. He's Sid's like a genuine, honest person. This is it. There's no, you know.
That's the guy who plays Sid. He's called Ralph Innocent.
That's right.
Very good actor.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, he's a very good actor.
I think he's done some more games, actually.
I'm trying to think if he did The Last of Us at the beginning.
I'm not
you
sure.
know the game. You remember when Joel and what's the name? Who he starts the journey with?
Not
him and
Ellie.
Not Ellie.
His daughter.
No, his partner.
Oh right,
Ellie.
I've forgotten. Yeah.
Anyway, they're trying to get that guy who robbed them from the guns, and I think it might be him as well. In that, we'll have to look into that. So yeah, John Amorochi. Basically, I think we can explain to John certain pivotal points in the game, and then we can review it ourselves from there. So say like example. That's how it starts. Have you ever watched Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
So like how each kingdom, they've got the kings and things like that. Yeah.
Certain political undertones, allies, enemies, trying to
things like that,
backstabbing,
And then in the world of Alestia, we begin with Clive Rossfield and his brother Joshua. And they're part of the kingdom of Rosaria. Their father is the king of Rosaria. And obviously the mother's in there, who is not a nice person at all.
Yeah. From the get-go.
And basically the main character, Clive, he's older than Joshua. And Joshua is going to be the next line in the throne because he is the Phoenix. He's what's called the dominant of the Phoenix. So in these kingdoms, usually the dominant of, say, example, you've got the dominant of Phoenix, of Ramu, the dominant of Titan, of Bahamut, who is always been my favourite throughout the Final Fantasy series. And they're usually like, they're going to be either the king or they're going to be the next in line to the throne. Okay. So because Clive, he hasn't got the blessing of the Phoenix, as they say. That's not his, his icon. He's going to be the shield for his brother.
Oh, right, okay.
So it's kind of like the Knight's Guard.
Yeah.
Sorry, the King's Guard, excuse me, from Game of Thrones.
Think of their, sorry to butt in, think of their relationship of Clive and Joshua, the younger brother. Think of it slightly, not in the same context, but think of Jon Snow in Game of Thrones with Bran, would you say?
Yeah.
Basically.
Right.
Do you remember Bran?
Yeah.
Jon Snow? Well, Jon Snow was a bastard. He's not a bastard in Final Fantasy, but that sort of relationship.
Okay.
And that sort of person, I think he's a mixture of a Jon Snow sort of character with his voice a little bit of... Could you say The Witcher, maybe, Gerald?
Yeah, I'd definitely say a bit of Geralt in there slightly.
A little bit.
And
a good person, basically.
Very good person. Yeah, he's a very... And what it is as well, in this world, you've got your dominance of these elements, which is, I think there's 7 or 8. Yeah. But also what you get is people that can manifest fire or... ice, or do you get what? Like they're born with it, and they're called bearers. But basically, if you're born like that, you are literally the lowest part of society.
Oh,
a dog has got more rights than that person has. So basically, they're not treated very well at all.
And they usually have a mark on their face.
Yeah, they get branded as well. That's why they're called the branded.
All right.
If you've seen the pictures of the main character, he's got the tattoo on the side of the face. And that's because he's what's called a branded. So the main guy, Clive, he could use fire, but that's it. Do you get what I mean? He's not like his brother Joshua. He's the Phoenix. But you could only have one dominant of each icon. Okay. So an icon is like a summon, as we said earlier. You can, if you want to input anything on there as well, John.
I'll just say, in general, the game, I was drawn to it immediately, the story. There's a lot of cutscenes in the game. It's very story sort of orientated.
Yeah. Narrative-driven
game, and it's actually quite captivating. Mm-hmm. And they do it in a way that doesn't drag, it doesn't bore you.
I agree,
I think all the characters are very intriguing. They've all got a backstory of some sort, even if it's just a bit part role. They're all interesting characters. The dominance, the dominant forms of certain icons. They're all different.
Yeah.
They've all got their different. Nothing's the same, basically.
Visually, character, everything.
Yeah, the characters are just fantastic. They're so well. I mean, the icons. Well, where should we start from?
Well, I
Hugo.
think we'll fill John in at the beginning. Obviously, it's going to be a spoiler, but what really kicks it going, the game is that what happens is Rosaria, which is their kingdom where they're from, as I explained before, and Joshua and Clive, and basically they get attacked. You know, there's kind of like a coup, if you get what I mean, and they overtake, and then basically what happens is they kill the king of Rosaria in front of his young son Joshua, and then from that Joshua turns into his icon, which is the Phoenix. Then now bear in mind, in this world you only have one icon for each element, if that makes sense. So there's only Shiva for the ice, there's no other, you know. And then how the game kicks off is that another fire icon comes, which is Ifrit, which has never been seen. It's basically impossible to have two icons that are fire. And then that's where it kicks off. And so the Phoenix and Ifrit get into a big epic battle, which is just visually stunning, isn't it?
Okay, then, I'll look for that.
So then, obviously, again, there's going to be spoilers. So as this fight's going on, our main protagonist, you see from a POV point of view, you know, of him watching this battle, and Ifrit overtakes Phoenix, and he is completely just demolishing him. It's actually really sad, because as the Phoenix is flying, he's still talking, he's still that young boy, Joshua, this young kid, who's like 8, 9, and he's saying to Ifrit, just stay away from me, you know. It's like a child in that, mythical creature. And basically he kills the Phoenix.
And all that, while that's happening, Clive is
watching this. And he's hopeless. He can't do anything.
He can't, and he feels guilty because he's meant to be the shield, the protector of his brother. And he can't do anything about it. He's seeing his brother absolutely getting demolished.
It's pretty brutal as well.
That's the introduction.
That's the introduction. And I love at the end of the introduction. Well, obviously we've got a bit far because the introduction is just the Phoenix fighting.
That's right. Yeah.
E3, and then obviously after a bit later, then it will show you that more in detail. But what I did love of the intro is after that fight, as it's going on, and it zooms out the fire, and then it's Clive's eye, and he's looking at the fire, and the music calms, and I just think it was one of the best intros I've seen. Truth, probably since Final Fantasy VIII. I'd definitely put it up there.
I personally, he's one of the best intros. My favourite part of the game was actually the last, say, 1.5 hours to 2 hours of the game, the conclusion. I thought that was... It actually went up in my estimation, the game, due to the conclusion. Those last 2 hours were quite emotional, man.
Was that just a video, or was that gameplay?
Gameplay, cutscenes, basically the last 2 hours, because I always broadcast when I'm playing, and I remember because I looked... The last 2 hours from when I don't want to give spoilers away, something happens, and he's telling everyone, you know, this is happening, bye-bye, farewells, your loved ones, this and that.
Wow.
It's just superb. The cutscenes, everything is just brilliant.
And
it did go up in my estimation, because for me, you know, Lefko asked me what sort of rating would you give it, and when we give a rating, we take everything into account, not just as a game, but, you know, graphics, environment, soundtrack, mechanics of the game. I gave it like a solid 8, should I say, but it did go up in my estimation even more, just because of the ending. And which was really, really good.
It was an excellent
ending.
It really was.
How many hours was the whole game?
Oh,
without side quests.
Depends how you play it.
Without side quests, just main campaign.
Oh man. Sorry.
I don't know.
When I play a game, I like doing everything.
Yeah, me too.
I won't say
and Truth, you're going to want to do the side quests on this.
If you're going to spend 70 quid on a game, I want to get my money's worth, man. I'm going to try and do everything as much as possible in one playthrough. I'm not going to do an engine plus. But I want to get the most out of it. So with the side quests, it usually... So without the side quests, they'll say to you,
Probably
25, 30 hours, but with the side quests, I always double.
Yeah.
Play 60, 70 hours, I'd say.
You know what?
Without skipping any dialogue or cutscenes.
Yeah, I don't think maybe even that, you know.
It will tell me anyway.
Yeah.
It tells you on the console.
It tells you. I mean, I've put, oh gosh.
Yeah,
I've put over 100 odd hours, but I did the new NG Plus.
Yeah, he played it twice. So.
I'm not the type of guy I'm very picky gamer. John knows that. John is as well. And it's very, very rare if I will do like a new game plus in the game or anything like that. It's just that with this game, when I completed it, I felt that I hadn't had my fill, if that makes sense. I wanted more. Do you know what I mean? So, and then obviously I read up on it. There's, you know, the difficulty, because I'll be honest, the difficulty, it is not a difficult game.
That's one of its flaws.
That's one of its flaws.
Unfortunately. But I don't think so. When this game was made, sorry, I'm cheating now because I need to see some names. So, because Final Fantasy is usually turn-based. Yeah. From what I played, I don't know.
Yeah, same.
This is not turn-based. It's
action-driven.
Action-driven, flashy combat.
Yeah.
You could just finish the game by pressing square to attack and R1 to invade.
Of course, you need to level up.
You need to level up. There's a certain grind, but nothing is hard. I'd say,
nothing is
especially for a veteran gamer, if you're playing games like Souls, this seems like a piece of cake.
God, yeah.
But for example, the combat. So Yoshida, who made the game, I don't know his.
Naoki Yoshida.
They brought in.
Well, he was one of the
brought in the guy who did the Devil May Cry series. His name's Ryota Suzuki. Okay. So he's like a Capcom veteran, and he worked on the combat system of Final Fantasy XVI. Okay. So if you go by Devil May Cry, you know how flashy it is. So it was that sort of combat.
Insane.
Quick, fast, flashy. You know, but very easy.
They definitely took a big gamble with this, and that's why I think it paid off. I know a lot of old veterans that there wasn't very happy because it wasn't turn-based and that. But I think it was a brilliant, fresh perspective of Final Fantasy series to introduce that, the Devil May Cry style combat, and again, just little details when you're exploring, it's so fast. It's not like you're going to check every little nook and cranny, of course, but it's not a big open world like the other ones used to be. Yeah. This is more in sections.
Yeah, it's pretty linear.
So it's quite
Did you say sandbox? I don't even think it's a sandbox open world.
You've got many sandbox areas.
So you've got to complete all the quests or the storyline.
Yes,
go to the next section. You're free to do.
Yeah, but the exploration is pretty simple. I won't say there's deep exploration where like invisible walls or secret areas or like that. It's pretty much you've got to do a little search around and you'll find a chest, kick it open, pick up. But most of the stuff you pick up, you don't really need it. If I'm honest,
most of the time, yeah.
The only thing that you really need are your I don't know how to say health flasks. I don't know what they are. What they're called?
Oh, your potions.
Your potions for health. Potions, other than that, I wouldn't say that you need to.
Because you get a lot of
materials and tools, which you don't really need to use them that much.
Like the best weapons that you're going to get, or the best amulets, things like that, you're going to find them fighting the bosses or doing the side quests. If you get what I mean.
Is it okay with you, John? Is that all right? John, I swear.
But I mean, I can tell you a bit more about the story if it intrigues you.
Go for the Final Fantasy thing,
I mean, we're saying, John, but we're going to be introducing spoilers if we're going to talk about our best moments.
Yeah, your best moments. I want to hear
So, I mean, I'll start with one of my best moments that was quite early on. We covered the introduction. E3 against Phoenix was just amazing. Yeah. And I think Odin's introduction.
Yes.
And the battle with Bahamut, even though it's quite quick, it's amazing. You've got, example, the king of what's called Waylude. He's the dominant of Odin.
Such a shame.
Which is
character.
We'll
should have gone deeper into that character.
Brilliant character.
Just not enough on him.
Yeah, I think they could have. Yeah.
Barnabas.
Yeah. Like the last fight that you have with Odin, we kind of wanted more, we wanted like that dominant fight, which you don't really get.
And more on his background, I would say.
And on his background.
But saying that, I did a little...
I was going to say, if actually, while we're touching up now, sorry, we keep going from one thing to the other. Right.
Yeah,
man. With Barnabas, so, yeah, I did watch a video where it confirmed that it was him with the head in the box, by the way.
Benedicta's
head. But, so...
He saw, sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So this Barnabas guy, I would say he's probably one of the most powerful antagonists in the game.
Yeah, antagonist and dominant.
And
I
dominant,
think he's definitely the most powerful dominant.
But there's not much on his background, as in...
so I did a bit of research on
that. So
did
I, that's what I was going to get to. So,
when he was young...
Yeah, his early life. So it remains a bit of a mystery.
Sorry, I'll just catch John up really quick.
Sure.
So this character Barnabas, he's again, like I said, he's the king of a kingdom. Yeah. He looks young, but he's actually older because he was given a from the Akashic, is it?
Yeah.
And basically, he kind of created his own empire from a young age. But again, he's the dominant of Odin. And if you remember Final Fantasy games, how powerful Odin is, especially with his sword, where he could just, is it the Zaibatsu, I think, something like that is called, where he could just kill them with one slash.
Okay.
So that's implemented on this as well.
Okay.
But it just looks brilliant, the way, whenever he comes up on the screen, you're like, wow, okay, someone needs to run away from this guy, or because he's that powerful.
Okay.
I think some people won't agree with me, but there were certain scenes. Remember the scene when you just see slashed across the screen and the building starts falling?
That was brilliant. Yeah.
He reminds me of he's so powerful that he reminds me a little bit of an Akuma figure.
Yeah.
As in power-wise.
He's all right. Yeah, it's probably because of the purple aura as well.
Purple aura as well.
Yeah.
But like his backstory, we'll touch on Ultima later.
Yeah.
So when I did a little background search on Barnabas, so he was raised in the world of Valistia, which is the world of Final Fantasy XVI, by his mother. So they were followers of it's like a cult called Circle of Malleus.
Yeah.
Which was an ancient religion that worshipped Ultima. We'll go further into Ultima. So, due to their beliefs, due to their beliefs following Ultima, they were viewed as heretics, and probably rightly so.
So Ultima, we'll just he's the main antagonist of the game, but he comes in later on.
Right.
If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But
just think of a character with no emotion at all, no empathy, just this dry, soulless,
basically all the human beings. He's not. Yeah, he's like a deity, isn't he?
Yeah.
Basically, all the humans in that world are just ants to him. So they're just there to fulfill his purpose. Like, if you get what I mean.
Okay. So due to their beliefs, as in worshipping Ultima, the people around Valistia there considered them as heretics, and they basically this rival religion killed off Barnabas's mother.
Is that the Holy Empire?
It doesn't say, but they ended up killing Barnabas's mother, basically.
Yeah.
And this event seems to have instilled great hatred within him for killing his mother.
And I think that also manifested Odin as well.
Basically, and he basically, because of that, it's like shall I call it a traumatic experience? But he instilled great hatred towards all humanity. It's what Lefko said. Humans were just like ants, like nothing to him.
Yeah.
And
I do want to interject something. Yeah. Barnabas actually thought that Ultima was going to cleanse the world, basically. But he actually didn't realise Ultima's final goal.
It was too late by then because Ultima had clouded his mind. It made him go a bit like a mad king, basically. Think of it like that. And basically, he was forced to fled Valistia, and then he became ruler. And
he went. I don't know what it was called before Waylude, but basically he went to this kingdom. He conquered it basically single-handedly.
Yeah.
And then he became the king. He overtook the throne there and renamed it the Kingdom of Weylud. And then everybody followed him.
It does say, though, that he was a descendant of the motes of darkness, the people whose lineage was bound to Odin. So he awakened it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he awakened,
he awakened
like
Odin,
I said,
which is like the summon, a dominant.
Yeah, the dominant. It usually goes on the bloodline. So again, they again similar to Game of Thrones, they kind of liked them to marry within the family as well, because it gave them more of a chance that the child will be the next dominant.
Yeah.
So you understand the dominant, we're jumping, sorry if it's confusing because we're jumping from one bit to the next, but basically there's only ever one dominant.
Yep.
And another dominant will come when that one dies, but you don't know when they're going to appear. Say like example, and when they manifest as well, they're dominant.
Yep.
So say like example, Joshua, his came very young. I think he was very, very young, maybe like before 5 years old, where they knew that he was going to be the dominant of the Phoenix. And say like with Barnabas, it was when he was like in his late teenage years when he manifested that he was the dominant of Odin.
Okay.
And obviously certain traumatic events will trigger that off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we can carry on from there, I think, as well. So in best parts, we've kind of muddled up the story, but I don't know if you're keeping up with us, but I mean, we can dive into the spoilers. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So basically, we might as well, and then we'll cover our bits. So say like, what happens is after the beginning, like we said with Clive, when he witnessed, Ifrit and Phoenix. So after Ifrit killed Phoenix, Ifrit kind of disappeared. Yeah.
Right.
And Clive was basically almost dead, after this happened. This event took place in what was called Phoenix Gate.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, should we say like a mural type thing to the Phoenix? It's like where they go to worship him, or it was like another part of that kingdom, I think.
Yeah.
Or
maybe they just named it Phoenix Gate because it was a major event that had happened.
No, it was already called Phoenix Gate.
Oh, it was already
before
called
that
Phoenix.
happened. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, for the geek, get my geek on here. It's basically Phoenix Gate with Rosaria, Rosaria is the main kingdom, and Phoenix Gate was kind of like outside there to protect it. So like in Lord of the Rings, you had the White City of Gondor, and then you had Osgiliath, that was just outside. Yeah. That was like the last protection of Gondor. So this is similar. So this event takes place in Phoenix Gate. Anyway, so then after all that happens and the whole place has been destroyed, you see the Queen, Clive's mother, you can tell she basically betrayed her husband.
A bit like, what's her name? God, I've forgotten her name.
You're going to say Cersei?
Cersei. A bit like that. Think of her.
But this one is a lot worse than Cersei.
It's a lot worse, yeah.
Because at least Cersei loved the children, whereas this one, Annabelle, I think she was called, just had no regard for her children. She couldn't stand her eldest son Clive because he wasn't born the Phoenix. Yeah. So she favoured Joshua, because he was the Phoenix. Yeah. So Clive basically just was nothing to her, even though it was her firstborn son. So as Clive's laid down, after all this event that happened, she basically says to a soldier, just kill him. Oh. Just kill him. There's no word for it.
No.
As the soldier goes, as the soldier goes to kill him, she says, "No, wait. You know what? Brand him."
Let me do it. Oh, okay.
No, she goes, "Brand him. He's a bearer."
Remember what we said about the brand,
and just send him on the front lines.
On the front line, yeah.
So basically, she gave him a worse fate than death, because it's not easy to live as a branded in that world. Yeah. Yeah,
you're not accepted. You're just basically an outcast, basically. Yeah. And you do all the dirty work.
Yeah. People don't look at you. They talk to you like trash.
Yeah, like trash.
Literally, there's no respect.
This is still the beginning of the game,
This is still the beginning of the game.
This is after the events of Joshua, the battle
Phoenix,
between Phoenix and So Clive was there, sort of half dead, should we say?
Yeah.
And just as he's about to be killed, what's the mother's name? Annabella puts a stop to it, which
give him a worse fate than
give him a worse fate, but obviously it backfires eventually.
So then obviously Clive grows up in the military as a bearer, so they always get thrown in the worst parts of battle and things like that, and then also
has he got his flames?
Clive's got his flames,
Okay,
again, he's just the bearer, so he can just create a flame, It's not like they're extremely powerful, but they can just, create simple
Are all
flame.
bearers branded when they're found out?
When they're found out, they get branded.
They've all got the same mark on their
They've all got the same mark.
Depending on their...
No, literally, if you're born and branded, and they know, right?
They just brand your face.
They just brand your face, and that's it. Yeah,
Okay.
and basically, you're damned for the rest of your life.
Whether you've got flames or
Doesn't
ice
matter.
or light.
So what they do, their main source of energy is what's called the mother crystals.
Okay.
So it's similar to materia, and this one, that's actually a good thing. Yeah, because you've always got crystals.
Yeah, I think that's part of every Final Fantasy.
Every Final Fantasy's got that. And in this, you've got the 5 main crystals, and each crystal is like an element. So what the people of Valistia do is say, like, I can't remember the locations, but you've got. I think it's Drake's Fang, where it's
Drake's Fang, Drake's Spine,
Drake's Eye,
something like
Drake's
that. Yeah.
Breath.
Think of them as big mother crystals.
Big crystals.
They're like the main. Think of it as the main boss fight. Should I say?
Okay.
Spread around.
That's
the
it.
Ultima, Diamond, Omega.
Yeah. Say like now on the.
But they're all in different parts of the world, right?
So say like example. I think it's Drake's Breath. If I'm wrong, I do
There is
apologise.
a Drake's Breath. Yeah, you're right.
There is a Drake's Breath, but say like example that crystal is fire. So people mine it, and throughout the whole world, every day people use these crystals for whatever reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
So to
say like
cook
if you've got
or
to cook, so say like if you've got a blacksmith, he'll use a crystal to create the flame.
Right.
If you're not rich, or if you haven't got the crystal, I know it's sad, but a bearer is cheaper than a crystal. So they'll just have a bearer, like a slave, to start their fires for them.
You can even use your crystal to light your cigarette, like Sid does.
Like Sid does, yeah.
Okay.
Just uses the crystal.
And that's why Sid is cool.
Yeah, we'll get to that as well. So that's obviously what happens there with Clive. And then as Clive, obviously, we jump forward, then he's an adult, he's riddled with guilt. His only thing that he wants to do in his life is find the dominant who killed his brother.
Oh, because we don't know who it is.
Because we don't know who it is.
Randomly showed up.
Ifrit, we don't know who he is. When it started, when Joshua turned into the Phoenix, Clive saw a vision of a hooded figure in front of him. And then that hooded figure
during Phoenix Gate,
during the Phoenix Gate, and then that hooded figure turned into Ifrit.
That's right.
And so Clive, that's what he wants to do. He wants to avenge his brother. Mm-hmm. Do you get what I mean? He wants to find this hooded person who Ifrit is. A lot of people don't believe it because it's impossible that there's 2 dominants of fire.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
and Clive feels that this hooded figure is responsible for his brother's death.
For his brother's death and the destruction of Rosaria. Where in fact the destruction of Rosaria was designed by his mother and another king from
basically they allied.
She allied with another king, and then after that happened, she married that other king, and then they took Rosaria. And then they made it into one big kingdom, which is called.
Think of it as a power struggle, geopolitical, wanting to be the dominant force of the world. So
then they created the Holy Empire of Sanbreque.
Yeah.
Which is called. Now the king is not a dominant, but his son, who is another brilliant character,
Fantastic,
is called Dion. He's the dominant of Bahamut.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and very, very good character. Another great character, and he's the leader of the Dragoons. So you've always got Dragoons in Final Fantasy as well, with the long spears, in the best armor and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was saying to John at the beginning of the game, there's a boss fight with a Dragoon. Obviously, I recognised it straight away, being a Final Fantasy enthusiast, and then I explained to John they're always in there.
The Dragoons remind me of a superior sort of. It's just, I don't know, the way they're dressed, their armour and the way they look. A little bit like the elves in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like a superior group of people who look down upon the rest. Like we're the main sort of warriors. But still, really cool character. Really cool character.
Dion's brilliant. Dion Lestrade, something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So that basically, and then the game kicks off there where there's a big battle going on between the kingdom of Welu and the kingdom of Sambrek, the royal kingdom of the holy.
So the kingdom of Welu, just to Johnny to remember, is Barnabas's kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay. Barnabas, who we touched upon, that kingdom of Welu. There's a battle between his forces against
Sambrek,
which is Dion's
father's kingdom.
Okay.
Who Clive's mother now, so she's Dion's stepmother, basically.
Yeah.
And again, another great moment, like we said before. The cutscene there is the battle going on, and then Odin comes.
Okay.
And then they shout, for Dion to come, and then Dion's looking over, at Odin, and then he just jumps off a cliff, and he grabs his spear, jumps off a cliff, manifests into Bahamut, and then they have a good little battle.
I'll look for that clip as well.
Yeah, have you looked at that clip?
No.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And that's right. I do apologise because we've got it wrong there. That part at the beginning with Clive, after we've had the beginning of it, the prelude. That is basically another kingdom, which is Titan's kingdom.
Titans, yeah.
Dhalmekia. That's it.
Dhalmekia, yeah.
And he gets into a fight with Shiva.
Okay.
The dominant of ice, and he's the dominant of earth, Titan. So as you're running and doing your little bit, trying to get to your destination with Clive, their mission now is that they've got to get Shiva. They've got to capture her for their own empire, if you get what I mean. And as you go in, these two are having a fight, and it looks brilliant, isn't it?
Is there any loading times or anything like that? It doesn't sound like there's much.
Not really.
Waiting around.
Not really. Really quick.
Yeah.
You fast travel and it just takes like
fast travelling was
seconds.
really easy.
Very easy.
A lot rather than just, and the loading time. I think now with the PS5, no game takes.
No.
I remember playing Red Dead 2. And the loading time on that.
Yeah, it was PS4, isn't it? Yeah.
You're waiting. It's such a big game.
It is.
But now I've not experienced the game where I'm thinking, come on, man, the loading time. How long is it taking? It's all pretty quick.
One thing we did forget. I hope you're going to edit this because is at the beginning of the game when Joshua and Clive are young. Okay, and Clive's training, and he's got a really good relationship with his father. He's a really good man.
Yeah,
the one who passed it, not his mum.
Yeah.
And they even actually have he sends Clive on his first mission, and then he leans over to Clive and he goes, "We can prove your mother wrong now, of your worth." They had a girl with them who was, I think they adopted her, didn't they? Who's called Jill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like a very close friend, a young girl.
Very close friend with Clive and Joshua. It's basically like they grew up together.
We forgot to mention that Clive was actually very young during the beginning.
Clive's young. He's like a young teenager.
He's a young teenager.
Like 15 or something.
But that's only at the beginning.
That's only at the
beginning, just an intro to him. And then later on, after the introduction, when he's a bearer, basically.
That's when you start.
You see
That's
the
when you
real
start.
Clive. That's when.
Yeah,
you see
the only reason he didn't have a tattoo on his face is because he was the king's son.
Right.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why, you know what I mean? But so, another thing as well is that on one of his conquests, his father brought back a little puppy, Wolf, and they named him Torgal. So at the beginning, he's a little puppy. So I'm going to touch on that later. So
What was it called? Ghost?
Torgal.
Okay.
Very similar to Ghost.
Yeah, basically.
Again,
yeah.
that's another reference to, Game of Thrones because...
Yeah. Always like a sidekick.
Yeah.
Always
yeah.
by Clive's side.
Yeah, so...
With his own sort of power, should I say.
With his own power. So basically when... now we fast forward and when Clive with his other bearer soldiers, there's 3 of them I believe.
That's right, yeah.
They finally get to the destination to capture this dominant or kill this dominant of Shiva. So whatever happens, you can have your fights and whatever. And then Clive goes to actually kill the dominant. And as he looks, he notices that the dominant was the girl from his past, was Jill.
His adopted sister.
That's right.
Yeah.
And she was very young back then.
And
they
she was
actually had a
very young, but they
conversation,
haven't seen each other in 15 years.
Since Phoenix Gate.
Since Phoenix
Everyone
Gate.
just sort of broke off
Broke
after
off,
that.
yeah.
So everyone went their own paths. Others were,
So basically, they took this girl, because they knew, we didn't know when she was young that she was the dominant of Shiva.
Yeah.
But then after...
Think of them as a nuclear weapon, basically, man.
Yeah.
Basically, she was they needed her as their main sort of power, like with their fighting in a battle.
And the people that took her was that cult that you was on about, the ones that were against Barnabas with his mother.
Right,
They're the ones that kidnapped Jill and used her, for their own gain.
And that's when you get Shiva part of your arsenal to use as a...
They were going to kill her off. Even Clive was going to kill her off, being a bearer, and then he realises, oh my God,
it's Jill.
It's Jill, I can't.
And then he fights his own
because they have a close relationship when they were young.
When they were children.
Yeah,
they were very... Obviously Jill's older now,
And then basically Clive kills his commander because his commander's like, you've got to kill her, and he's like, I can't.
So he stood in the way.
So he stood in the way. And then after that, they go to, obviously Clive kills him, his commander. And then what happens is they get swarmed by the people that had kidnapped Jill.
Yeah.
And you think, oh my God, how they're going to get out of this, right? Because there's too many for Clive to fight. And just as they're going to kill Clive, he's holding on to Jill.
Odin or Bahamut comes.
You see the lightning strike. And then... anyway, you don't know where the lightning came from, but then a really good character walks in who's called Sid Alphys.
Okay.
And basically, he takes a shine to Clive and he goes, look, come with me, bring that girl, we're going to keep you safe. And then obviously, reluctantly, he goes with them. And then Sid explains that he basically, excuse me, he protects bearers.
Yeah.
And he gives them sanctuary.
All right.
And he
basically, Sid's policy is his way of thinking. So you've got all this power struggling.
Could I just say, so sorry, he's known as Sid the Outlaw.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants
an outlaw because he doesn't follow or conform to the politics of the world.
Yeah.
He's more of a free thinker.
Yeah.
So he believes human beings should live by their own terms, die by their own terms, and serve no master.
Yeah.
Basically, that's his thought process. But obviously, he takes in the bearers. It's like a sanctuary. He offers sanctuary, and he builds a team, a good team on basis.
A group of people
that he's there to help them and fight against the so-called forces or the system, should I say?
Basically. Because a bit of just let him know a bit of backstory of Sid as well.
I think you should do the honours, mate. I'm not. You know more.
Sid is actually the dominant of Ramu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. When Sid was young, Sid and another girl who's called Benedicta, and she's the dominant of Garuda, which is the dominant of wind.
Okay.
And then and they worked for Barnabas, as we said. You know, the dominant of Odin.
Okay.
But what happened is Sid saw how Barnabas was changing and how he was becoming more ruthless and how he just didn't care about people anymore. And that's where Sid pulled away from Barnabas. And he basically left him and Benedicta, she's called. Yeah, because they basically met Barnabas together. They were very close friends. Sid with Benedicta.
Yeah, Sid and Benedicta.
I think they might have even been lovers.
Yeah, very. I'd say Benedicta was quite not monogamous, very polygamous.
Promiscuous.
Slept around with a few.
Yeah. But for I think it was more for her way of surviving. Because she grew up, obviously, like you see, with nothing. She was on the street, and God knows what. And then Sid found her, and then he helped her, and he brought him under his wing, and things like that. And then obviously they both, like I said earlier, linked up with Barnabas. But
may we add, Barnabas had even though she may have had some sort of form of emotions towards him. He was complete. Remember that scene where they're in bed together and she's trying to sort of, my king, and he's just not bothered. Because he doesn't care about humanity. He hasn't got any empathy. He hasn't got. He doesn't feel love. He doesn't feel sorrow.
He did for his mother.
For his mother, yeah. But we're introduced him in that sort of just a cold. There's no emotion.
It sounds like
in
he's Ultima or something.
Well, Ultima had basically blinded him or clouded his.
And because Ultima knew Barnabas's power, he used that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So he basically played him, and then he knew when Barnabas lost his mother, that's when Ultima came in and corrupted him, because he was at a vulnerable point, innit? Obviously back to Sid, that's when he left, and then he became Sid the Outlaw, and like John said, made his own group and everything. And Sid's the one who takes Clive back with Jill. And then Clive, and basically Sid is saying to him, look, live with us as an outlaw. We've got certain missions that we want to do. All we want to do is free the bearers. We want to fight against the system. But the main thing is the mother crystals, as we said. So in that world, everyone believes that the mother crystals are a blessing, right? And what's happening at the same time in that world, the blight's happening. And what the blight is, it sweeps over the country, doesn't it?
Blight, think of a darkness.
Darkness.
So dark sort of
sucks all the life out of everything.
Power that sucks out. Listen, think of the yin and the yang, like with any sort of movie or gaming. It's a power struggle between good and evil.
Balance.
But the balance, light and darkness. Think of it like that.
Yeah.
So you've got the blight basically, which is
and
darkness.
Sid knows. Of course, he knows something that a lot of people don't know.
Who does Sid?
Sid, which is the mother crystals are actually causing the blight, and they're actually destroying that world. Truth, similar to what's happening in the world today, I suppose.
That's what say. Exactly. Yeah. Think of our natural resources here. You're given natural resources to use, but we've overdone it as human beings. Like we don't just use it; we overuse it. We overuse these natural resources that are given to us. A bit like what's happening in Final Fantasy now. So, they're basically destroying their own kingdom by overusing this power.
So, like Final Fantasy VII again with Sephiroth and
the exploitation of the crystals or our natural resources now.
No, it's kind of different to 7 because I don't think the materia were they destroying the.
I can't remember. All I remember was just like Sephiroth. He wanted Mother or something to come back.
Genova
and wipe everything out again.
With the black materia and then start again. That's where we got up to. So, that's how it starts.
So basically the synopsis is that how it starts, and now Clive has teamed up with Sid. They're at base. They've got their own camp, which is hidden away.
The hideaway.
The hideaway. And the mission is to, there's more hidden elements and side stories, but we want to find who killed off Joshua and why and this and that. So
So
As Clive, yeah.
we'll
As
fast
Clive.
forward a little bit, and you're gonna have to shorten this up. But we'll carry on a little bit, and then eventually, what happens? They bring Jill back to health. That's a really nice reunion. When she said it with Clive, she can't believe
And they go on missions together, so Jill joins your company along with the wolf who's called
Torgal. Yeah, so
you've always got a company of...
You've always got company. So when he meets Sid, Sid's got a wolf with him. And then straight away Clive knows that's Torgal. That was his little pup.
So Sid has adopted
He adopted the wolf,
basically.
And so the game is you just use Clive. Again, where a lot of people found the issue is that you didn't have the group thing anymore.
I was going to say,
you know what I mean? No, it's just Clive.
Because it wasn't turn-based, it was just free flowing.
It wasn't turn-based,
So just think of it as a second and third player, not even a playable, they're automatically there just to help you battle.
They'll fight, I mean, they do look cool. Sometimes
they look cool.
When you're having a fight,
you can input, for example, Torgal, who's like your sidekick. You can input the commands, like whether you want him to heal you or attack or whatever.
Yeah.
And he does that throughout the game while you're fighting without having to control him.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
But it depends if you set it like that.
Yeah, it's just a setting, whether you want to set it or even in mid-battle, but I usually just left it on. I never put the dog on healing me. Because I've had, as I said, it's such an easy game, you don't really need to...
Can you change the difficulty?
No.
Actually, at the beginning, it's action-based and... story based, and once you finish it on NG Plus, it unlocks a Final Fantasy mode, which is supposed to be harder, but I don't know how much harder. So
it was harder. It was more difficult. I think the most difficult I was going to say to you was that actually the last boss on Echoes of the Fallen on the DLC.
Oh, okay. I read a review on that actually, and it did say that it's actually the bosses are actually harder than the actual main game.
Yes, it is. It took me a few attempts to beat it because I actually did it last night. And when I killed it and I heard that victory music, oh my god, it was so epic. This is it is like an ethereal, with the voices, and it sounded amazing, and you're like, yes, I did it finally after those attempts. But again, loads of twists and turns. I mean, we'll jump to whether discover who the dominant of Ifrit is. So throughout the game, as you're doing your missions with Sid and Jill, you're always chasing this hooded figure.
Right.
And this hooded figure, you see that he has his own cutscenes and he can use fire.
You can't see his face though yet.
You can't see his face,
You do eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Halfway through towards the end?
No, quite early on, I'd say.
Okay, all right.
Probably about 15% into the game.
Do you think? I thought it was a little bit more than that.
No, I think it's
about 30 to 40%.
Maybe. Well, before that, what Clive discovers, is that he's Ifrit.
Oh!
He was Ifrit all along.
Wow.
And he blames himself.
Wow.
And then what happens after is, again, it keeps cutting to the hooded figure with his helper. She's a woman that's always with him, right. Yote. She's a bearer as well of fire. And then he takes off his hood and it's Joshua.
Yeah.
Joshua survived all those years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing twist. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, so obviously you agree with, once Clive discovers this, that he's Ifrit, then it goes to the point where he meets Ultima in it for the first time, and Joshua comes while Clive is passed out, and Joshua protects Clive from Ultima. Yeah, and then he leaves him. Like, I'm just jumping bits here, because I don't want to get, how much detail we're going to get into. But basically, John, it was twists and turns like that all the way, and it was just brilliant. And then you spend in the next... That's Ultima.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So basically, Ultima, he wants Clive...
He looks like Mads Mikkelsen, doesn't he?
Does a little bit, yeah, you're right.
Like who?
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen from Rogue One. The guy who's got the the architect.
Yeah. He's a brilliant actor.
Do you want to touch upon so during obviously going to war? Their purpose is to go and destroy these crystals, right?
The mother crystals.
The mother crystals, and every mother crystal, has its dominant, is it?
It's in a King Derby.
So there's a point where he gets to fight the dominant of Titan, should we say? His name's Hugo
Cooker. Yeah.
Massive, strong.
Is Titan Earth?
Yeah.
So once they have a boss battle and eventually you defeat this boss, Clive has the power to draw some of that.
Their energy,
energy. Maybe they're not their full dominant, but he can draw certain powers from that dominant. So every dominant has a different power. So Titan is his strength, basically.
It's Earth,
Earth.
And there's not been anyone else who's been able to.
No.
So
this is he's a special person, Clive, basically. So once he draws their powers, whether it be Titan or whether it be
but
Shiva,
accidentally
without knowing.
He doesn't know.
It's like an upgrade in the game. So apart from having the dominant of Ifrit as
a character,
as your main
as Lefko touched upon, like which is fire based,
and of course he's got the Phoenix,
and he's got the Phoenix. You get the dominant now of or certain powers of Titan, so you can equip that,
and Garuda,
so you can equip that as your special ability.
Okay.
So imagine a mashup of you're fighting enemies, and imagine a mashup of using fire-based
lightning,
and then do you know what? I want to use Titan now. You quickly press, is it L2 to switch to that dominant power, let's say. And so Titan has the effect, the mechanics of it. He's more of a counter-based character. So if an enemy attacks you, you can counter him with these huge punches. Your hands become like huge fists. Huge. So just before he's about to attack you, you counter it, and then you can mix it up and bring in another icon, Phoenix, and I'll use fire based. So
and
it's all this.
Devil May Cry.
Exactly. It's all this flashing colours and.
When you're unleashing.
And you're unleashing loads of powers,
boss, man, and it just looks spectacular.
But you can only use 3 dominants at a time.
Three dominants, but each one has got its own unique mechanic as well.
So you've got light-based attacks, and then you've got the heavy-based.
But what I mean is as well, like when you've got Phoenix equipped, you press circle. That's its own unique thing.
Oh right,
Phoenix will make you dash really quick.
That's right.
Then when you switch to Titan, when you press circle, he does a shield.
He does a shield.
But if you counter, if you press circle just at the right time, you can counter attack with really fast punches.
3 punches in a row,
which
basically.
looks brilliant.
Then,
as Clive,
but using the dominant of Titan,
that person,
basically.
So that's what he does.
And then you've got triangle and square, which is they're basically the powers. It's 2 circles. Like if I want to be the dominant of Ifrit, Phoenix. It's like is it L1 and triangle we press? I can't remember. Basically,
I think
you're using
R2.
You're using the magical power of that. Instead of just using your sword to hack away as a slasher, I'll press triangle now and there's a small cutscene of whatever.
Right, cutscenes as well.
A small cutscene.
It looks amazing. I mean, when he's got the Phoenix.
And eventually that power fills up. There's a meter and you can't use it all the time until it fills up again.
It fills up,
So,
in real time.
So, and then you can switch. So while you're waiting for the meter to fill up, I've used that magic now. I'll switch to Titan now because those ones are full up.
Carry on fighting.
They're independent.
And they all build up, on their own, and then you just unleash everything. That's why when they're all full, and you've got
you press R2 and L2 together.
You just unleash it.
And then you've obviously
then you've got your limit break.
You've got your limit break L3 R3, which is like
you turn into fire.
Think of God of War, his rage meter.
He's in the rage meter, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's good because say like the way how I do it, and I was showing John when I go in a fight. To build up your limit break, you need to fight. And then you fill it up, and then you can unleash it. The good thing is you can cancel it when you want. So you can save a little bit, reserve, and then fight a little bit. So
it doesn't just drain all of it, and then you've got to
it
stop.
Doesn't, you've got to do it at the right time. When you cancel it. Say like you have 4 bars. We're going later on in the game. So say example, you unleash your limit break, and the first bar's depleted, and then it just goes to the second bar. There's 3/4 of it. Yeah. If you cancel it, you're going to lose that whole bar.
Okay.
Bear in mind, there's a skill tree for class.
Well,
so you get these this currency ability points where you can basically input wherever
level
up one to make it stronger, and so can you reset the same with your limit break.
You can reset that.
Yeah, you can reset it for free anytime you want, and the same with the limit break. Like you start off with 2 bars, or is it 1?
Yeah, I think it might be 1 actually.
So if you want to put more ability points into your limit break, it will give you a 3rd bar off
to help with a boss or something. And
and then you can mix and chop and change.
I think that's another good thing with this game is that it's suited to many different styles as well. Say like a lot of videos where I've watched on YouTube, like people who use Garuda a lot, where she's more, the wind, and she's more for aerial combat as well, where you can knock them in the air, take them out, and
Garuda the dominant of Benedicta? Yeah, Benedicta, which was more close combat. Yeah. So lots of slashing and...
That's it. But say like for me, I didn't use Garuda a lot because my style suited more... I always had the Phoenix power on there. Yeah. Always.
I think that's a given. I had Phoenix as well. That's what he starts off with, man.
That's what he starts off with, but I always just kept it there because that's how because I'm a heavy hitter in games. Do you know what I mean? So,
Mr. Relentless.
Yeah, relentless, definitely.
Does it affect the ending? Are there multiple
endings?
No. It's just one
ending.
But the ending is superb.
Yeah,
it doesn't leave it ambiguous. Well, for me, it didn't anyway, because some people question it a bit like, I believe this and this. I think some people look too deep into it when... in its simplified form, this is how it really happened. Yeah. I mean, it's evident, man. Like, I don't want to say what happens in the end, but... it was superb.
Okay. It was superb. It was everything. Even I don't know. Can we say? Should we? We did one that.
I don't know if it's fair to speak about the ending. I mean, if anyone's going to listen to this, I hope people listen to this.
Want to play it?
If they want to play it, I think we should leave it to.
Yeah, but I mean, we've already gave loads of spoilers about Joshua and Clyde being Ifrit.
Yeah, well, Johnny can edit that.
I'll tag it at the beginning now.
Take it at the beginning.
I don't mind. I don't think I'm going to be able to play it.
But in general, the game, I mean, was for me. I think it probably was closer to heart for Levko since he's Final Fantasy enthusiast. He's played the series, he loves it.
I would like to say that I haven't done all of them though.
Okay, but a bit like Star Wars, I'm not a Star Wars enthusiast. Doesn't mean that I dislike it or whatever, but I prefer other things. Yeah. But I'll give it a go, you know what I mean? I will give it a go and I'll give my honest opinion.
Just not the sequel trilogy, okay?
Yeah.
You did like it then, you enjoyed Final Fantasy XVI?
I did. I enjoyed it. It was a solid game. I won't say my personal opinion. It's an excellent game. It's excellent in parts.
Yeah.
In parts, some parts are amazing. Yeah. Some of the cutscenes were. You can tell, especially the boss fights, that Square Enix's budget was into the cutscenes, man.
Yeah. I think that's one of the
amazing.
Everything.
Of course, it is. Yeah.
Sorry.
Is it enough to make you want to play another Final Fantasy game? How many have you played? Which one have you played? You
said 9
and 10, because 9 and 10 were like 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
But I think it depends what sort of games you like, man. So personally, I don't think I would pay it. I'd rather borrow it, and I'd rather one of my friends played it who knows about Final Fantasy, like Levko or Chris or you or Andoni or whatever. And then if they say, you know what, John, going by your standards because they know what I like, I think you will really enjoy it. Give it a go. And I'll give it a go. It doesn't mean I'll finish a game usually, but it doesn't mean that I'll be completely honest that I played Jedi Star Wars Survivor. It was okay for me. Yeah. I much prefer the first one, Fallen Order.
Yeah, Fallen Order. Yeah.
I won't go into Star Wars now, but this one I did enjoy. Yeah, even though I found it easy.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Not all games have to be,
I think that's what the refreshing change was with this. Is that especially coming off the back of games like Lies of P and Elden Ring and the other difficult one you and Chris was playing. What else was it?
Which one? Remnant? No.
Remnant.
That's more of a shooter though, isn't it?
More of a shooter,
but that sort of game isn't made to be played on your own. That's more of a co-op game.
I mean. I think it was a nice, refreshing change to have a nice story-driven
Yeah.
game.
That's
you know
what gave it its.
yeah.
The story was really good.
Yeah.
The character build-up or character development.
World building was brilliant.
The world building. There were some really, really good characters.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Odin splitting the sea into
yeah.
an amazing
What a
moment.
scene that was! That was amazing.
Tell us some of your moments.
Yeah,
John.
go on.
Oh, but I'll be giving spoilers, man.
It's
Because
fine,
my
it's fine,
favourite
it's fine.
moment's the conclusion.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but
Alright.
it's fine. Is that all right, John?
Yeah, it's fine.
Orochi, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but the conclusion is a big
Yes.
part of the game. And,
People will know. We give spoilers. we gave
so,
spoiler alert, so.
you know the game's coming to an end when they're leaving. What's the place?
The
called?
Hideaway.
The Hideaway.
Yeah, okay.
And you've got Clive and Joshua. Obviously, Dion, who is a part of the Dragoons, who we forgot about Dion.
We
His
should have spoken,
backstory.
with his story.
He gets to be with them at some part of the
some
game.
point, yeah.
We've completely missed out why. And they're at base, and you know it's sort of the final moment.
Because it says the PlayStation trophy said you're 97% completed as well.
No, you can. It's pretty easy to follow the story. That's the good thing
So
about
you know.
it. It's
You
not
kind of know.
overcomplicated. You kind of know. Okay.
It's like example Final Fantasy VII, the original, where what was the big crater called?
Oh yeah.
Right at the end, so you knew right when I go in this
That's
crater,
it.
this is it. That's where Sephiroth is like dominant. This is going to be the end part
And
of it.
that's why you said that they were going back to to bring in a younger player base. They want them to be able to enjoy the story.
I don't know if it was aimed for a younger player
It's
base.
not.
I think it was meant for an older.
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
To bring in the next generation of
To
players.
bring the next
as well.
generation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I mean.
yeah.
say like example.
I mean, a 10-year-old wouldn't. I don't know.
No. But say like if you've got a 17-year-old.
Yeah, you got to have an
16-year-old,
understanding of the story,
yeah.
like a 10-year-old.
And even
Okay.
though not
understand,
hearing
yeah.
about Final Fantasy, why are people crazy over it? You know, and then they might have tried one of the old school ones and thought, this isn't for me, too slow.
Yeah, you've got your...
So they did this to draw them in as
You've
well.
got your Final Fantasy
And they-
purists who completely hated it, judging by the reviews. And
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
it's not. This is not a Final Fantasy game. And giving it all this.
Yeah.
But I guess games are.
No, I
you're
think
entitled
so.
to an opinion.
Of course you are. But for me, it was. I mean,
It was a good game. It was a solid game.
I think it was a brilliant use of the summons. I really do. It was the limit break as well. I know. Look, with the limit break, obviously in other Final Fantasies, they evolve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The next limit break could be better than the last, you know. Whereas obviously on this one we've just got the one, but I think it was still worth it.
Definitely.
It was,
is it a PS5 exclusive?
yeah, PS5.
So
exclusive, yeah.
I haven't played many PS5 exclusives. Like I two games that I played that were PS5 exclusives are Final Fantasy XVI and Returnal, which were both recommended by Lefkio.
Yeah. And I can safely
was
say...
Ratchet and Clank a PS5 exclusive?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun as well, but...
Yeah. And can I just say, when you just said Returnal, for me, how many years is PS5 now? 3 years?
4.
4...
I think it came out in the 20, innit?
Well, it was during...
2020 when it came out, wasn't it?
When was COVID about? We've lost all track.
For me, Returnal, best PS5
exclusive. Yeah. If you want to see,
well, the early version. Now I think it's a bit.
Yeah, but just as the power of the PlayStation in the sense, I'm not talking, but mechanically the gameplay. I've never seen something so smooth. So smooth.
God, it's 10 out of 10 gameplay.
Sound. If you want to be immersed in the environments, the gameplay, the sound, because you're in this alien world and everything's weird and distorted and and it's think of
Alien,
not Alien, but what's it called? Prometheus.
Prometheus.
Yeah. Think of it as that sort of setting and environment.
Brilliant game. Other favourite parts.
Yeah, so you were saying about the ending with Dion. You're getting ready to.
Yeah, so they're getting ready to leave, and obviously their farewells to everyone, and and it's pretty touching because
It is, yeah.
these characters have grown on you. So you put in 50, 60 hours, and you know all the characters now, and you're like, oh, he's saying goodbye to Jill, he's saying goodbye to Gav, who is Otto with all these characters, and you're like, right.
Lady Karen,
and all these people, the blacksmith
called.
And
that scene when they say goodbye, and Joshua, Clive, and Dion run off the cliff, they jump off the edge, and Dion jumps first, and then Clive and Joshua, and then Dion's turned into Bahama.
Yeah,
and,
you don't
and,
see.
Clive and Joshua are holding
on to this massive dragon, and they're flying
to the last Mother Crystal. That was brilliant. And we're even going into that, the Mother Crystal, and then Ultima's throwing everything at them, and Bahamut's just like swinging, doing 360 turns, dodging, and all that, and then he does his big beam to break open the crystal so they can get in, and I mean his redemption arc was brilliant, I think, as well.
Dion's redemption arc.
Yeah, because
we haven't touched on the redemption arc of Dion because
but basically he did something really bad, Dion, that basically decimated his entire kingdom.
So Dion's dad was married eventually to Clive's
Joshua's mother.
And they
had the child together as well.
They had a child together.
So that child was supposedly the new special who was going to take over the kingdom.
Basically, she manipulated as well Dion's dad, and Dion could see that. But his dad, his dad was clouded by her. And something happens that basically
triggers Dion to turn into Bahama and basically destroy everything. Including his dad and everyone. And then again, another epic battle is when Dion's turned and Joshua is really sympathetic to Dion. He actually, and he turns into the Phoenix, and then obviously Clive turns into Ifrit.
That's right.
And it becomes a battle of Phoenix and Ifrit against Bahama, which is just phenomenal battle. Brilliant scene. And they managed to obviously stop Dion in it, but
it's a shame though, because prior to the conclusion, you get to meet fight Barnabas, who was a brilliant character antagonist, and we don't get much of him. And I was telling Lefkio that I was quite disappointed in, because you don't really fight his dominant.
Yeah.
And he's such a cool looking dominant as well. Very overpowering.
Ramu,
no, Odin.
Sorry.
And he's on a giant horse.
Yeah.
And he gallops in the air, and you just see him. He's sort of
brilliant.
You see the cutscene, and you see it from Clive's point of view.
Yeah.
And he's just this massive figure with a spear on his horse, and you're like, "Wow, this character! I want to fight this guy."
Yeah.
But
it was the only one that we didn't fight. I mean, all right, we did fight Jill
and
Shiva.
But we fought him in three sort of...
Well, we fought Benedicta when she was Garuda. All right, obviously not Sid when he was Ramu, but Hugo Kuka when he became
Titan.
You had the Titan
and that's a
fight.
fist battle.
And what was the other one? When you first meet Ultima... But he sends that thing through the black void, the dark void, or whatever I forgot what it's called. That was a good fight as well, where you turn into
the boss fights were
because you had
amazing,
sections where you turn into Ifrit and you're fighting as dominance, which was brilliant. And then you've got quick time events as well.
And there's moments when Clive when they're in their dominant form clash with I don't know, let's say. In a boss fight, clashes in a dominant form, and you see them, they're shooting beams at each other, and the beams are overpowering. You don't And then there's QTEs, quick time events. Okay. So it comes up to square, and you've got to bash square.
Bashing it,
and then there's
it reminded me like of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
You know, when you throw obviously, like Bahama, he will do his beam. Whatever it is, like his Omega beam, and then Clive will do Hellfire,
Yeah.
and then it's clashing, and you got to do the quick time, to try and overpower it.
Or they'll throw
and
fireballs
stuff.
at you, and then there's a quick time event. You need to press R1 to evade that, otherwise you get
Another great moment when Joshua and Clive combine.
Combine Phoenix with
Phoenix with
So
Ifrit.
it's like
Brilliant. So it gives Ifrit the ability to fly, and then he's, phenomenal.
But yeah, it was a solid game.
A lot of good
it was a
moments,
very good game. Very good game.
You said you gave it an 8 because of the ending as well.
I'd give it. See, I don't really round off games like that. 8, and I think it's above an 8.5. I'd give it an 8.6.
Yeah,
8.7
I think I'd
because of the ending, especially.
Yeah. I think I'd probably do around there as well.
Yeah. It was graphically, as I said, the cutscenes were brilliant, but as a game in total, I don't think it felt a bit flat at times, especially when you're looking into the distance. So you're in the environment, you're on your chocobo, what are they called?
Yeah, chocobo.
Yeah,
you get
so
chocobo.
again, I'm comparing it to other games. So it's supposed to be a PS5 exclusive. We're talking about next gen, but when I'm comparing it to The Last of Us 2. And Red Dead Redemption, which was Last of Us 2 was at the end of the PS4's lifespan, right?
And Red Dead as well.
No,
Red Dead was a couple of years before. No, 5 years before. No,
it was a couple of years before.
It was.
But when you played games and you look at the depth and detail of certain games, you expect the same, if not better, in a PS5 exclusive. Especially a AAA title, man. It's a AAA title. They pumped money into that. But sure, I understand most of their money went into the cutscenes and the boss battles. That is where it's at its best. And the music. But
I mean, I want to give that.
Always been like that anyway.
I've got to give a shout out to the composer there, Masayoshi Soken.
Hey!
What an amazing composer there.
Has he done any of the other ones as well?
He did I think he did like Tactics and Origins, Final Fantasy Origins, or nothing. Yeah, and I think he might have done 12, I think. Something like that.
Right, so basically I prepared some questions. I think, I don't know how much I know you. I've known you since we were kids, all of, you as well.
We're at school together, John.
Yeah, dude. And we shared games and everything, but not everyone knows you. And I don't know, right? I don't know what kinds of games you've been playing recently, except for Final Fantasy XVI and the stuff that we talk about in our group. But yeah, we've got these questions.
Okay.
And you can answer them as you feel. What are your top 5 favourite games? Your top favourite games. You can number them. You can not number them. You can mention 3. You can mention 2.
I'm just going to say off the top of my head now.
Yeah.
Because certain games have. At that time when you played them at that age, it's a different feeling. If I played them now at the age of 41, they probably wouldn't have that same effect as they did when I played them when I was 13. But
going through what we were going through,
straight off the top of my head, when I was sort of introduced to point and click adventure games, Monkey Island.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say something like that. Yeah.
Straight away.
That's your favourite game.
Well, it's in the top. Yeah, I mean, this was my introduction to point and click, which is a big part of my gaming.
The Secret of Monkey Island, the first one. Yeah.
First, second, and third.
First, second, and third.
Yeah.
You're welcome, by the way, because that was the Star Wars studio that made that game. LucasArts.
So I'd put in.
Which version did you play? The PC version?
PC. 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And all of them.
Yeah.
No, 1, 2, and 3 PC version,
Okay.
Those. I put Bloodborne in there.
Right, okay.
Oh, yeah, it's a Soulsborne game. It was, it was different. It was a different sort of IP as in, there was no blocking, it was evading, it was more of a hack and slash, still very challenging. Dark. You had your gun as well as instead of like a shield to parry, your gun would be your parry, which would just stagger the enemies.
I haven't played any of the Souls games.
You haven't played any of them? Red Dead Redemption 2.
Really?
That would be the top of my list. Red Dead Redemption 2. The Last of Us.
Yep.
Which one? Part 1 or 2?
I'd say part 2, man.
You don't see it as one big story though? As one big game? Are they...
I thought number 2 was a lot more brutal as well. It was really graphic. Like every kill was like she'd slice someone's throat and it wouldn't be the same sound. The gurgling and the what else? Good question. There's so many to mention, Johnny. But
Give me another 2. But you can just come back and throw more in my face. As we
current games, I mean, currently I'd say Elden Ring was up there, man, as well.
Okay.
It was a great game. God of War.
Which one?
2018.
2018.
Okay.
It was brilliant.
That's the
They changed it in the sense that Kratos must be the best Kratos they ever created because he's older, he's wiser. He knows how to control his rage now.
Yeah.
You know. And the fact that they made it into, it wasn't so linear, it was more of a sandbox open world game.
Okay.
Lots of secrets, chests. The combat was amazing, hard hitting. The axe was just so wholesome, man. You could feel it, man. The blades of chaos were quick. You had the javelin, the quick stabs, and then you had the axe. Every weapon you used, you could feel, man. Like it was.
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
As you say that, would you rate the reveal of the Blades of Chaos as one of your best gaming moments in recent times?
Oh yeah, that was brilliant when it goes back to
What an amazing
definitely.
And Athena, you're a monster.
Yeah.
But I'm your monster no more.
Yeah. But without a shadow of a doubt, the best game that I played in 41 years of living is Red Dead 2.
Red Dead 2.
100% without a shadow of a doubt, and it set the bar for me now. And I'm very, very...
How long ago did you play it?
As soon as I got my new TV, I played it on the PS5. No, I played it on the PS4. I bought the TV first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember when you mentioned it years ago. So it was about 4 or 5 years ago.
PS4.
PS4.
Yeah. Red Dead 2. It was during COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, you did it after COVID.
Was it after COVID?
Really?
You was doing Neo 2 during COVID.
During COVID.
Yeah.
Favourite genre?
Oh.
Games?
Favourite genre of games? Definitely RPGs, I think, man.
Yeah.
Because it's your escapism, man. Yeah. Just this. If it's done well, you've got this vast open world. PS3, I'll mention Skyrim. Wow, huge map, lots of caves, lots of pickups, lots of weapons, armors, tinkering, amulets, talismans. RPGs, man. Yeah.
RPGs.
I was an adventurer like you until I took everyone over there.
RPGs, man, right now.
Favourite game soundtrack? Music? Everything? I'm going to come do you one as well. We're going to do you one.
Now?
No.
Favourite soundtrack?
Yeah, soundtrack. You've probably got some.
Final Fantasy XVI jumped up there for me, man. That was an amazing soundtrack.
I think the soundtrack that I listened to the most was Red Dead 2.
Okay.
Again, this is why I'm saying it was so impactful, because it wasn't just the graphics, it wasn't just the story, it was everything, and that includes the soundtrack. There's never been a more complete game that I've played other than Red Dead 2. Complete as a whole, not as a set. Everything was just brilliant, man. Sorry to disappoint you, John, man. You expected something different.
I thought you were going to say point and click for some reason, but that was 3-4 lifetimes ago.
Yeah, that was, I'm talking now, the feeling and the emotion that I've got inside.
I'll come back in 10 years from now.
In 10 years it'll probably change, yeah.
Do you watch anime?
Very rarely, man.
Do you watch manga? Any movies?
I've watched a few, I've watched a few, but I won't.
You won't.
I won't say that. I haven't watched many, so I can't say. But the ones that I have watched, the standard ones, should we say, like manga, Fist of the North Star was like brilliant. Okay. I think I borrowed that on tape. I don't know if you lent it to Chris and Chris lent it to me.
No, Chris. Chris owned it, I think.
Okay, Chris.
Ninja Scroll.
I love I love Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
Amazing.
Bloodlust.
I still haven't watched it.
Amazing.
I've got it on it. It's brilliant.
You have to watch it. Yeah.
Bloodlust. It's brilliant.
One or two clips that come to mind is...
And obviously, your Ninja Scrolls was brilliant. Yeah. What did we watch as well? Oh, Samurai Champloo.
Yeah, Samurai Champloo.
That was brilliant soundtrack as well. The intro to it.
Okay.
God rest his soul. The guy who produced He's Dead. I've forgotten his name now. DJ. What's his name? No, I'll have to find it on Google. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a serious JRPG enthusiast, man. But I'll watch it on occasion, yeah.
Favourite movie?
Easy.
Lord of the Rings.
No, it's up there, but again, I probably have to say No Country for Old Men, man.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. That's another thing I need to see.
I don't know if it was the whole experience of it that made me love it so much, because I remember it was winter. I was living on my own, and I wanted Barea to go to the cinema to watch No Country for Old Men, and obviously my friends were busy or they couldn't. So I opted, all right, fuck it, I'm going to go on my own. So I went to the cinema on my own, sat right at the back. From the very first second to the end of the movie, I was just like, captivated. This is brilliant, man. Probably the greatest villain ever.
I was going to say that.
Okay.
Chigurh was...
what's the actor's name?
Javier Bardem, yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
But obviously there's other, you mentioned Lord of the Rings, you've got your classic gangster movies, you know, that we all had.
What's your favourite gangster movie? Classic, whatever.
Ooh!
No, you say, you're thinking of it right now. Is it?
I'd say Godfather Part 2.
I knew you were going to say that. Okay.
I'd say Godfather Part 2, but I love Goodfellas as well, man.
Yeah,
The Bronx Tale as well was brilliant.
Okay. Favourite actor?
Favourite actor?
Yeah.
Right now, off the top of my mind, there's a bromance there, because I love the guy, man. Tom Hardy.
Really? Okay,
yes,
cool.
There's a bromance there for me. I don't know, anything that I see him, I absolutely love the guy, man.
You watch Peaky Blinders?
My mum's watching that right now. She's hooked.
John,
I know.
You've got that's next on your list.
Yeah.
Next on
but
your
I've seen
list.
most of his movies. Tom Hardy's in the series.
What's your favourite movie? Favourite movie from Tom Hardy?
God, I feel I know what he's going to say.
It's not you thinking Batman when
that's what I was going to say. For me, it's Batman. No, he's paid fucking awesome. Dude, I love him. He's Bane, isn't it?
Bane.
I was going to say.
Yeah,
Bane. Yeah.
I enjoyed Lawless. I enjoyed the one with DiCaprio. God, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Inception.
No, not Inception. That was a bit part. No, that was. The
Revenant.
Yeah. I also watched one which was pretty. I loved him in when I was first introduced to Hardy was Los.
Because if it is, this is really old and I love it. Take Martina Cole's The Take.
No.
That was the first time
Bronson. On Charles Bronson, Charles Bronson. Sorry, Charles Bronson. The maniac. He was brilliant in that. I loved him in Lawless. I loved him in Warriors. Is it Warriors? Where he plays an MMA fighter.
Warrior.
Warrior. Lawless, when they're doing the moonshine. Do you remember the alcohol?
Right, I actually haven't watched Lawless.
You haven't? Okay, he was really good in that.
And don't forget Legend.
Legend was brilliant.
Crazy.
Fucking, what's it called, man? That was brilliant. What a spectacle. Mad Max.
Oh my God, Fury Road.
Yeah.
That movie gets you pumped up like no.
But there's loads of. It's just right now. See, I could say I love. What's his name? In the Name of the Father.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite comic book character.
I'm not really a comic book enthusiast that much, man. See, I didn't really read superheroes that much.
Okay.
I grew up reading. It's pretty tame. This people probably gonna laugh. I grew up reading Dino and the Dandy. Man.
Yeah, wicked. We all did.
The Backstreet Kids, Roger the Dodger, Dennis.
Wicked.
Does anyone remember George and Lynn on the Sun newspaper?
Yeah.
It was quite dirty, the comic strip.
What,
she
the
was
Viz?
naked.
No,
it was on the Sun newspaper.
He was in the Sun
and
newspaper.
then in the Mirror, you had the football one where that one was quite. Yeah. Sorry, please carry on.
Yeah, but as I've gone off the sort of superhero. I think that's just me. You change as you grow up. You don't really. But I'd probably have to say Batman.
Yeah, Batman and Joker.
I always liked it because of its darker nature. Should I say?
Favourite book? Favourite author? Because I know you've read books.
I've read books, yeah. I like fantasy, high fantasy, like C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, but I think my most sort of remembering from my younger age, I used to play the the Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone books.
I've got nearly all of them.
Yeah,
I've
I
got
think I could say
amazing.
those gaming books by Reading with the Dice, those were my
Amazing.
first sort of wow. And I always liked the artwork as well.
Yes, it's amazing.
The artwork was brilliant because it was all sort of pencil drawn and...
Dude, I'm still collecting books. I think I've...
You know you can actually buy the book, they're
you can
games
play the
now
game,
on the phone.
Get them on
Yeah,
Android
those
and
are my
iPhone.
most sort of...
But the books are amazing. The artwork is amazing as well. That's why I like Magic the Gathering as well.
Yeah.
I can play the game, but I just love just
The darkest one out of the whole lot, if you ever want to play it, is House of Hell.
Yeah, got it.
That was
I've got the
bloody
original as well.
grimy, man. That was like freaky shit.
I'll have
for a
to try
book.
this on.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah,
The
yeah.
pictures are amazing.
Amazing,
The stories
yeah.
are
Similar to
amazing.
like Arthur Conan Doyle, isn't it?
No. So it's
I mean the drawing.
the drawings. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
dark. It's old. It's black and white, and it's some of them are gothic. It depends on the story, but some of them are like heavily.
If you remember years ago, they brought out a game. I think it was Ian Livingstone from one of his books, and I forget. And I'm sure it was on the PS1, and it was
Probably
meant to be like it was going to be the next best thing.
It was the first
And it
one. It
really
was probably
flopped.
the first one they'd done.
I forgot what it was called.
Oh my god!
I think they've republished them since
Yeah,
now.
they do. They've done it about 5-6 times.
six
It
times,
changed,
yeah.
it changed
Yeah.
hands and everything, but it was the first one. Sorry, I'm just quickly googling it.
I forgot what it was. Yeah.
Um,
But it wasn't that well received because the gameplay became
Well, now
really
with technology,
clunky.
now you've got
the
phones.
Warlock
with-
of Fire Top Mountain.
Yes,
It
Warlock
must-
of Fire
yeah.
Top Mountain,
Was
I've
it
got
that
that.
one?
The,
I think it must have been
the
that.
Citadel of Chaos.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah.
Yeah, they had them at the library at school. And I read them about 10,000 times, and I ended up buying every single one. I'm only missing the sorcery book now. The book with the magic and shit. And sorry,
They've got that on Android that you can buy it, I think.
You want about €100 now.
And it's with the same artwork, by the way, you know.
What? Kare, City Port of Tracks, Seven Serpents.
They also had sci-fi ones that were in outer space as well, you
yeah.
know. There's loads. I don't know how many books they released, but I've got quite
I think
a
they've
few.
got. They went up to about 50 something, and then years later they've done a couple more.
Love them. Get yourself a piece of paper, a rubber, and dice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Wicked. Favourite author then?
Yeah, I'd have to say
It's them.
from that time is them. If I had to, it's always fantasy based on it. I like to escape. I wasn't really into
Sci-fi.
sci-fi biographies, or growing up, it always was fantasy.
Okay.
Lord of the Rings, Lion the Witch and the Chronicles of Narnia, because the Lion the Witch and the
Yes,
Wardrobe is
there is.
only one book
Yeah,
out of the
yeah,
eight,
yeah.
eight, I think.
Yeah.
So
I went back and I read The Magician's Nephew, the first one.
yeah,
Is it the first? It is the
I
first
think
one.
it is the first one. Yeah,
The way it sets everything up for
Yeah,
language.
yeah.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Okay, do you play any mobile games or anything?
Not anymore, but I have. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Again, one was recommended by Lefkio.
Which one?
Archero, which
Yeah,
was I must have played it for 2 years, man.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that and Blaz Blue, which was recommended by Chris. You know the Blaz
Blaze,
Blue.
Yeah.
Blaze Blue,
Yeah, but I don't know what is it, Blaz or Blaze? Because there's no
Blaze
E.
Blue.
Blaze
Blaze
Blue.
Blue.
We say Blaze Blue.
Okay, because it's BLAZ.
Was
There's
that
no
on
E.
Android as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. But now, no. I
Yeah.
don't bother.
You got PS5 man, have you?
Well, yeah, I had more time before because now it's just wasting time playing games on a phone.
Yeah. Have you played Dungeons and Dragons before, D&D?
The video game?
Anything?
Yeah.
Have you done?
Oh, sorry.
Have you done D&D before? Have you played D&D?
No, I played Gauntlet with Sav, which is like a dungeon. Is it similar?
Baby's the board game.
Oh, the board
Is it
game.
board
No, I
game?
haven't actually.
I'd love to do that. We've got to
I
do that one
haven't.
night.
I haven't.
Wicked.
I haven't played that. No, I haven't. I played this. I've forgotten what it was called. Where it was, you build your castle with soldiers, and you had like catapults and.
Not Heroes Quest.
I was going to say, it's not that, is it?
And you used to put elastic bands, and you had that. They looked like hockey putts.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And you used to aim on the other person's base, and you'd hit the castle door, and the soldiers would fall
Dude, I
off.
remember that.
Do you remember?
it, but
I had that, but I
It's
can't remember
cool,
what
yeah.
it was called, man. I loved it.
man.
Loved it. Yeah.
They've got Hero Quest now for €100.
I know, I've seen
It's
it in
insane.
public.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it any other questions?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, man. Sorry. I mean, those are the basic. I wasn't going to go and be pretentious about it. That's
No
what
way.
I grew up with, and that's what I remember. And
All right, last question.
yeah.
Who would you like to listen to next on interviews and to be interviewed and everything? Who would you like to hear their answers to the questions and to them review something?
And well, the people that are closest to us, I guess, man. I'd like to, if he eventually makes the move, it'd be nice to hear Chris's opinion, dissect it word by word and see what he likes. Because obviously we're all friends, so we've all played similar games, and it's nice hearing it from a close friend how he views a game, because it might. Obviously, he's gonna touch upon things that we might have missed on, or things that he's seen that he's enjoyed that we didn't really pay attention to. So it's always nice listening to a different perspective from a closer friend. So yeah, I'd say Chris. Yeah. Because with Chris and Lefkio, we play console games, man. And obviously, I've known them the longest, as in console gaming, and because we've all played similar games. We've always had disputes and disagreements and agreements and So I'd like to hear Chris's perspective.
Hopefully he comes over soon so we can add him as well to this.
I think he'll make the move soon. Yeah. So obviously I'd like to listen to Andoni as well. Andoni's a whole next level, because I think he's in the wrong line of work, if I'm honest with you, Andoni, because his knowledge is so deep and so much. And he watches a lot of things on YouTube. He listens to a lot of podcasts. All right, I don't really like. Andoni's the sort of person I think who he'll play a game because he loves it, but before buying it, he doesn't mind. He's not into spoilers and stuff like that. Yeah. He doesn't mind reviewing it and knowing roughly what the plot is and what the best weapons are and who directed it. And how much money they poured into it, and if it's connected to something. So he goes into a much, much deeper level. Yeah. Whereas I think, I don't know about Lefkio, not so much, but I think me and Chris, we don't really like heavy spoilers. I think Chris is worse though. Chris is the worst, if you say, he'll start.
Funny story.
Yeah.
No.
I'll tell you a funny story. I played The Last of Us, the original, a couple of months before Chris did.
Yeah.
And I ruined the game because I gave him the spoiler about a giraffe. Like, he still to this day has.
Yeah, there's a point in the game in that.
There's a point in the game.
And when that dystopian world where you see a giraffe, you're like, how the fuck has this giraffe survived in this world?
And I didn't mean to spoil it. It's just Chris goes to me, I'm at this section in the hospital or wherever it was. And because it had been a while since I'd done it, I thought it was at that point. And
where the giraffe walks past.
Yeah, where the giraffe walks back. Well, and he comes. And
such a random
he's patting, and then he's patting it and that. And I said to Chris, listen, what did you think to the giraffe bit? And oh my God, that was it. I ruined the game for him.
Best co-op game that we ever played. And we don't play many because...
Wait, I know what it is. Neo 2.
Huh?
I don't know.
No.
Okay,
it's not. That's multiplayer, should I say. When I say multiplayer, I'm talking about 4 friends getting together and playing a campaign. Not against other people, the campaign. What a laugh, man. Hilarious. I mean...
Left 4 Dead.
Back 4 Blood.
Okay.
It's just,
I haven't played that yet. Left 4 Dead,
I mean, so many laughs to the point where there was times where we were taking piss out of Left and he's like, I'm getting out of this group, you two are too much. And then everyone wants to be the leader. Yeah, Chris, follow me there. Everyone wants to take charge. And then you've got Lefty, can I just say one thing? Follow me, I know what to do. And then it all sort of...
goes all over the place.
It goes tits up and we start teasing him.
No, the funniest is Sav, when you're looting. Forget it, mate. You've got to get there quick because he will pick up everything. Even the things that he doesn't need. And then... he'll pick up the level 4 gun, even though he's got a level 5 gun. Yeah, because he could have 2. And you're like, Sav, can I not at least have that level 4 gun? We're getting to a hard section. There's a level 2 one there. That's fine for you. Don't worry. You'll be all right.
I personally like to play pranks. Yeah. We'd go off on one, like searching, and I'd be like, I'd call Chris. There's something here, come and see. Lying, I was lying. It was a gas canister. So Chris like, where? And I'm standing behind, I just shoot on the canister. Hilarious. Stuff like that.
I'd like to say one hidden gem for everybody, saying that because it's reminding me with the zombie theme. Days Gone was a brilliant game, man. Brilliant game. And I've got some funny videos there. Did you see it?
Yeah, comedy gold, man.
I'm planting for landmines, about 3-4, and then I didn't judge it right, and then it blew me up, but it like sent me to the one, then to the next.
No, if a game could come out of the TV, he nearly came out of the TV.
Yeah.
It was funny just see this leg of him flying.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Into the corner of the screen.
When you got those hordes coming at you, that's brilliant. Yeah, that was such a fun game. Really, really underrated game.
I really recommend if you want to play a classic game that pays homage to. That's a different subject now. The arcades era. We all played arcades, man. Play 1980X. It's pays homage to the magic of finding an arcade place. You know, you're a young boy and he doesn't know where he's going with his life. He's coming of age. He's a bit depressed. His dad's left him, and he does the same routine. He walks to school every day, and then one night it's raining, and he finds this. It looks like an old corner building, and it's like a basement. And there's luminous lights, and he walks into this basement, and all the cool people are there. When I say cool, we're talking about the misfits, the geeks. I'm not talking about the fashionable, and they're all playing games. And he goes, "Wow!" And he started. This is where you could be anyone you wanted to be by being immersed. You could play an RPG and be a knight. You could be a driver. You could be a ninja, shinobi, and it just pays homage to all these different types of arcades.
Right, you have to play. There is no game.
There is no game.
Yeah.
Right.
Find it and play. There is no game.
What's that
It's
console?
on Android. It's on Steam as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Dude, it's amazing.
There
If
is
you like
no
point
game.
and click adventure games, you'll love it. It's such an homage.
What's it called?
There is no game. And I wanted to recommend it to you before as well because I know how you enjoyed them. We shared them growing up. We lent them to each other, these games. Dude, you've got to. Don't check any spoilers. Don't look at the YouTube videos. Just start playing it. Just press play. Don't look at anything. Just enjoy it.
What's it called?
There is no game.
There is no game. Is it this one?
game.
Yeah, that's one.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Wrong dimension.
Send it in the group as well.
Yeah, we will.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it today.
Amazing.
I think we could go on for much
for a
longer
long
than a
time.
couple of hours. We'd be
Absolutely.
here for not all night. I think we could be here for a whole week.
Yeah, definitely.
And hopefully we can all reconnect again with more people, more friends,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
talk about various subjects, various topics in gaming, movies, comics, or whatever it is that we all enjoy.
That's it.
And I would like to say to all the listeners out there that it's our first ever podcast, so it might be a bit.
Apologies
flawed.
if it sounds a bit amateurish, but
we'll get there.
we'll get there, and we're talking about things that we all mutually enjoy.
Yeah,
so,
and passionate about.
and
as
passionate about, and
yeah, definitely.
um,
We'll do Red Dead 2, 1. Try and convince people to play that game who haven't played it.
And hopefully we'll have more people as well to give their opinion.
Definitely.
Speak, so,
It's probably going to be a little bit further down when I can get to.
Yeah. John,
We'll see you in 5 years, John. Right?
No, shout out to Johnny for helping set all this up. Because I don't think we would have done it without his help.
Absolutely not.
It needs to be done when you
kudos.
get up there.
Yeah,
Shame he supports Tottenham, but they all come in use for something.
That's it, right? But no, definitely big shout out to Amarachi for setting all this up, and definitely really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Bye, guys.